Good afternoon. My name's Edward Hughes. I'm the president of the Harvard Business School Club of San Diego, and I'm delighted you're here today with our CEO forum. Before I introduce our guest, just a couple of quick announcements. Um, as you can see from the slide, we want to thank our sponsors, Hughes Marino, KPMG, Latham Watkins, CEO Coaching, and the Honor Foundation. Our mission is to continue to educate leaders who make a difference in the world and make San Diego a great place to live and work. And we do that with three core programs. Now, the first is our CEO Forum, where we get very interesting speakers from a broad variety of industries. Many of them are San Diego based, like our guest today, but some of them are from national or international. Second is our management development programs, and we run two programs. We run a for-profit program in the fall, which we completed recently, and it was terrific. And actually, next week, we're starting our not-for-profit program. Here, it's actually going to be at UCSD this time. So we're super excited about that. That is a 7-week program, Monday evenings, 2 cases a week. We have a few spots remaining on that program. If anybody is interested from a board perspective, if you're part of a nonprofit, reach out, let them know. But great program to do that. And the third is our social enterprise initiative, which is, as we say, making San Diego a great place to live and work. We like to support nonprofits, and we've done that now by sending over 50 nonprofit CEOs back to the Harvard Business School for a week-long program called Strategic Perspectives in Nonprofit Management. The applications for that are open. We are going to be looking to send this year's cohort. So by March 31st, again, if you're associated with a nonprofit and the CEO or the executive director could benefit from a program such as this. And we've had just absolute feedback, fabulous feedback from the participants who've gone before. Please, get them to apply. We have a process for selecting them. On the website is our criteria for that. But again, it's a fully funded scholarship that sends the CEO over to Boston for a week in July to participate in this just terrific program. Today, it's going to be a webinar format, so we're going to do a fireside chat, but I'm going to try and take questions from the audience as we go. So as you have a question, pop it into the Q&A. I'll try and do it along the way. If not, I'll try and capture it at the end. Okay. So with that, let me stop sharing and introduce our guest. So I had Tom on 2 years ago, and Tom he's the founding partner and CEO of the San Diego Football Club. And it was interesting. We'd heard about, obviously San Diego getting an MLS expansion team, and that's super exciting. And so we had Tom on. We had the chance to talk to him a little about what his vision, his plans, and he kind of laid out some of that stuff. But frankly, who would have guessed that? I mean, from zero to all the way up to the conference finals. I mean, what a fantastic start. So he's an industry veteran. He did great things at the LA Football Club, but boy, he's off to a great start. So I am delighted to have Tom back. So Tom, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for having me. Was it really 2 years? I thought it was a year ago. Man,
It's February
time flies.
24th. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's time flies, but yeah, you've had quite the whirlwind of a start. So maybe some of the people who are joining us probably didn't capture that webinar, but just a quick recap. San Diego Football Club. What's the why? Why is it here? Why are we doing this?
To make life better in San Diego, for starters. I mean, it's kind of that simple when you get down to it. Few things matter to an entire community like a properly executed sports team. We've all grown up and been indoctrinated into whatever football club, soccer club, basketball team, hockey, if you're from a big market. If you're from Boston, there's no question who your teams are, right?
Yeah.
So what we saw in San Diego was the real void, the real need for more professional men's sports, because of course the Chargers have left and broke everybody's heart. The Padres are so strong and so meaningful. But beyond that, the Clippers bounced out of here a long time ago and no hockey. So there was this opportunity to bring another first division men's team to San Diego. And if we do it right, life's better here. It should matter to everybody. It should be a
Yeah.
rally cry for civic pride. It should be a source of joy, a place that you can hug your neighbor anytime a goal's scored, you don't even know who they are. It's one of those deals, and nothing really works like that. They say sports is the modern day campfire that brings all of the community together for a shared experience. So that was really the why. And it's fun now to look back and judge how we're doing on that and what it's going to mean going forward.
Yeah, no, it's I agree. It's fabulous to have a professional sports team back here and obviously in a major league, right? And then boy, what a great start. So as I said in the intro, you've done this before with the LA Football Club, right? So what were the 2 to 3 lessons that you transferred when you kind of came here and said, I'm going to do this in San Diego?
Well, for me, I knew the roadmap, having done it at LAFC really about a decade ago was when it really was humming. And we were coming up and played our first season in LA in 2018. The challenge there was we had to actually build the stadium. So we were
Mhm.
able to win the expansion rights for 110 million back in 2014.
Good deal.
Then the big unlock there was to build became Bank of California, now BMO Stadium, right next to the Coliseum. That was an animal to try to conquer, right? I mean, that was a mountain to climb. That was really, really tough. We didn't have that challenge here. So what I brought was the roadmap, but the timing shrunk to like 2 years, under 2 years, 22 months. We had to build all of San Diego FC. The advantage we had, Edward, is that Snapdragon Stadium was out of the ground and was at this point operational, right? But when we were hunting the opportunity, we knew it was coming. So the big hurdle for us was to negotiate a lease with San Diego State University, a master lease where we could become their primary tenant. Um, but what happened was the timeline shrunk to 22 months, which made the whole thing feel like a sprint. So we were on sort of first base, if you will, maybe second base with this whole thing because the stadium was done. We just had to work out a deal, which we did right before we announced the club. The next big thing to unlock for our opportunity was where could we build a right to dream academy, a training ground, a place for us to know we could call home and be a magnet for the best talent in North America. And we could talk a lot more about that. But we pulled that off thanks to our partners, Sequan, the Native American tribe. We were able to repurpose 28 glorious acres they have out at the Singing Hills Golf Resort and turn it into the best training ground in North America, top 5 in the world. So the focus was on getting those places straight and right, and then hit and go to try to fill up one of the biggest buildings in America for soccer. It's actually the largest soccer specific venue, if you want to call it that, because 3 teams play in NFL buildings and repurpose those, but this one's really built for us and for San Diego State football. Um, and that 32,500 capacity is the biggest in America. So that's been a real challenge to get hit scale and pack the place.
Okay. So, and remind us before we get into last season. So, how did you win the bid? So, were there competing people? Had the MLS already decided San Diego is going to be the location, and now we got to find investors that want to buy a team? It's going to take it to San Diego. Talk us a bit through that process and share what you can, even if it's public speculation about the price you paid, because I don't know it's ever been officially kind of confirmed out there. But roughly, because you mentioned the LAFC did it got a franchise for 110 million. All right. So I imagine prices have gone up a lot since then.
Yeah, if you Google it quickly, you'd see out there is 500 million for this opportunity in San
Yeah.
Diego. Um, the what the league looks for in expansion is 3 simple things: the market, the stadium, and the money. And when I
Okay.
say the money, what I really mean, not sarcastically, it's the ownership.
Yeah.
It's they want the people that are going to be a part of that joint venture that is MLS, they want them to be their kind of people, right?
Yeah.
And with that comes the amount of wealth needed to sustain a
Mhm.
billion-dollar enterprise like we are. So, first, the market. MLS always wanted San Diego. It's the best market in the country for soccer. It's a no-brainer, and it was one of the big head scratchers. It's, worthy of an HBS study on why it didn't happen for 30 years, but it finally happened in San Diego. There's a lot of good reasons and swings and misses, near misses, but they always wanted the market. So much talent comes from here. The weather's perfect. It's top soccer market in the country. Second was the venue. That was always the main problem. They didn't have a certainty of a venue in the modern period where you need a soccer specific stadium. MLS went head to head against the university, San Diego State University, in a big public referendum and lost. The university crushed MLS. The commissioners admitted that publicly. And San Diego State built Snapdragon Stadium purposefully for MLS, the old if we build it, they will come. So then along came the ownership. And that's where it really starts with Sequan. The story started with them and the Sequan Native American tribe saying, we want to do something for San Diego and we'd like to be the equity holders and we want to do a joint venture. And can we find the right partner? And then along came Sir Mohammed Mansour. He was Mr. Mohammed Mansour then. He's been knighted by King Charles since. But Mr. Mansour owns an enterprise called Right to Dream that's a international family of youth academies and professional clubs, and he wanted to invest in America. And they really aligned value-wise, the Mansour family and the Squan family. And they did a joint venture that's historic and likely never to be repeated, where they've collaborated to bring this, and that's what unlocked the opportunity. So the market was always great. The stadium was all of a sudden done. And then the right ownership came along. That was key.
And how did you fit into this picture? And when did you become part of this process?
Kind of from before all of that, I got in when I left LAFC during COVID. I started on new ventures and pretty quickly realized that San Diego opportunity was ripe for this. And it wasn't very long after that I was able to meet Cody Martinez, the chairman of Sequan, and he expressed his full-throated endorsement of this and sort of sketched out what I just described. And then we went on a kind of a long journey to find the correct partner. There were a number of conversations that didn't quite work. And then all of a sudden, Mr. Mansour and Right to Dream came along and it was perfect. So I was very much a part of the entire project from the idea, from the inception.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I've got to imagine your investors. Most of us on the call are, business people. We have boards, etc. I'm sure you have a board or investor meetings. They got to be pretty excited with how this has gone.
Yes, it's been, I like to call it the innocent rise. We had this a lot of times that was an old NBA term. I spent 11 years in the front office of the NBA, and when you're crap, and you're up in the lottery and you get a great draft pick, all of a sudden, if you do your job right, you hit that year where everything goes well and you just ride the wave and it's great. This was that like a tidal wave because nobody expected anything. It's funny if you look back, virtually all the pundits picked us last, second to last, or third to last in the league or in the Western Conference, and we won it. Some idiot who does an evaluation of each of the jerseys labeled ours the worst jersey in the league, and we sold the most in the league. We sold the most merch in a team store in history of MLS, in
Wow.
terms of our retail sales. So that just shows you believe in what you believe in, do what you do right, and you know, close your ears to the so-called experts. So your question was about, just sort of the level of satisfaction with year one. Everybody really thrilled with the innocent rise, thrilled with the result on the field. We really established quite a bit of value here. If
Mhm.
you soon Forbes will and Sportico are the two publications that come out with actual valuations, or estimates. And I expect you'll see that in the next couple of weeks, and we should be approaching or around $1 billion. I'd say we'd be 1 billion, but they'll probably start us off lower, to grow into it. But it's a substantial value creation in 1 year. And really only in sports can you do something. Well, that's not true. You can do it with a tech company in other ways, but it's kind of
Still, that's fantastic. 500 million to let's say close to 1 billion in 1 year. So, and I'm sure your owners are thrilled, and they're long term owners. They're in this for the long run, I'm sure. So,
but
so
like
you
all,
guys.
but like all owners, they always want more, right? Just kidding.
So, as a CEO, what are you most proud of as you look back on the season that you had?
I'm most proud, Edward, of how authentic the club is to San Diego. Um, what do I mean by that? I mean, the key to creating a really sustainable club is that it has to authentically represent the people of the community. And that's easier said than done. And it's mostly art, not science, to figure that out. There is some steps you take. But the first one was just listening, right? To just really listen to what this community believes it is, what represents this community, and what would resonate with the citizens of this community. And when I say the community, Saquon really informed a lot of this because of the fact that they're from here. You can't get any more native, right, than Saquon. They've been here ancestrally for 12,000 years.
Right.
So you had Saquon give the guidance from the beginning that this needs to be a club that represents the entire county, not just the city of San Diego and not the
Yep.
beach, not just the beach, right?
Okay.
So I came from LA. I grew up in the Midwest. I never really have spent a ton of time here. And my idea of San Diego was the beach. Because when I did on vacation, I went to the beach, I went to the zoo, Coronado, all the sort of stuff you do. Cody's point was San Diego's so much more than that. East County, the South Bay, North County, so on and so forth. So he wanted to build a club that represented all of that. And if you see our logo, that's what informed our logo. Our logo is this cool symbol that if you break it down, it's 18 distinct lines that are sort of woven into one in a flow pattern. And those 18 lines represent the 18 distinct cities of San Diego County. So even in our in our brand, we're sort of making a hidden but very explicit statement that we're all about this whole place. So that's what I'm most proud of is the fact that we're authentic. And then the other part of it would be the fact that the right to dream ethos and the values of the Mansour family were woven into this authentic San Diego club. And the way that we were able to take this incredible global enterprise that's changing lives and have it become part of the fabric of San Diego and embraced by San Diego. Those were two, uh, I say soft, but they're cultural anchors to what this thing is all about for generations, really.
It's interesting. The CEO of the club is saying the most thing he's most proud of is the authentic and how you're building, this thing for the long term from cultural side of it, as opposed to the on field performance. So yeah, you've really got a long term vision for how this goes. What surprised you, other than the fact that you got all the way to the conference championship? What surprised you?
Hmm. Uh, that surprised me first. I don't want to just gloss over it. That just how good we were right out of the chute. I mean, we were not only get the results, so we scored the most points in expansion history, 63 points, and LAFC had 57 before. So that was kind of a fun one for me to break. The most wins, 19, and we had the best road record of any team ever. So we went on the road and just won, which is traditionally very hard. Coach of the Year finalist, he should have won it. MVP finalist in Anders Dreyer. He did win Newcomer of the Year. So we had these excellent individual performances, but the team performance overall was definitely a surprise at how quickly it happened and how pleasing we are to watch. I mean, if you come to the see us play, it's just pleasing soccer, even if you don't know what that
Fluid, yeah.
is. You know, we're
Yeah.
playing with the ball all the time. We're constantly pushing the action. We don't play defensive oriented. We're on the front foot going for it. Another thing that surprised me is the other way, is how much of a challenge it's been to really commercially wake the whole market up and get it excited. So I had thought it was going to happen more naturally because of the history of the love of soccer in this community. And what I think I underestimated was the size of the building and the amount of time it would take to sort of get everyone in the market realizing and owning this as their own. So by the time we got to the playoffs, it was rolling and we were sold out, clean sold out, all those games. We'd go on sale with the next game in a week. It would sell out within 24, 36 hours. And then anybody that attended those matches, we have something really special. I mean, it's like it's a party. Uh, it's a it's a joyous expression of San Diego. It's a center for civic pride. Our supporters are singing the entire time in the end zone, and it's just magnificent. That was another surprise. You didn't know what it was going to be like. We knew we wanted to create a beautiful, authentic supporter section where they sing the entire match, but we didn't know what songs they were going to sing. We didn't know exactly how they were going to coalesce as a group. And that all came together just beautifully.
That's cool. So my impression is usually expansion teams start slow. They take a while to kind of get going, etc. You guys, straight out the gate. So do you think you did anything differently than maybe what other expansion teams, and maybe based on your experience, or you kind of went in and said, okay, this is what we're going to do here so that we can, not take 3, 4, 5 years to build this kind of fan base?
First thing we did was hire an awesome general manager
Okay.
and an amazingly talented head coach.
Yeah.
I mentioned those two because back to that challenge of how to make this club right to dreamy, how to integrate right to dream. A big part of that, Edward, as you know, is a commitment to playing youth and youth development. So a big part of our investment is in developing the best young players in America and in Mexico, because we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to take 5 years to have we have 11 and 12-year-olds we've started with, and we can talk more about that later. But for the first team, not only did we want to win, we wanted to win our way of playing, which is bold, where you play out of the back and you don't bomb the ball long. You play with the goalie at his ball at his feet, and it's dangerous, but you can break through. And then we wanted to do it with youth. And most of the dedicated coaches you talk to, not dedicated, most of the experienced coaches with a lot of years, the old saying is you can't win with youth. You can't win with youth. And we hired a general manager and a coach who said, yeah, you can, and we're going to do it. It wasn't focused on getting results, but we're going to play our way, and we want to play our way erring towards giving young guys a chance. So we made these trades where we acquired 18-year-old players from San Jose, from LAFC, from our first round draft pick right out of college. And our coach had the courage to play these guys, and we won with them and others. So that's another big surprise, is that not only did we win, but we won we led the league in minutes played by players 20 and under. Nobody played as many young guys as we did. It was a while where we started our whole back line. Our goalie was 22, our center backs were 19, and we had one older guy. And then the other guys on the wings were 19. So it was really quite a feat right out of the chute. And I give Tyler Heaps, our sporting director, and Mikey Varas, our head coach, a ton of credit, plus players.
I mean, you as a CEO, that's got to be nerve-wracking. You got the head coach and the GM going after youth, etc. So unproven guys, and you're like, oh, we just invested all this money, right? We've got all these great facilities, and we're getting all this hype going, and you roll out a bunch of young guys. I mean, that's got to be
Yeah.
nerve-wracking.
Well, underscoring that, I don't think I said it, both Tyler Heaps and Mikey Varas had not been in their positions before. So you had a first-time head coach and a first-time general manager, sporting director.
Mm.
Um, but very conviction based, very principle centered, and fearless. So, it's interesting, Edward. Um, at my level, you just think, look, we have a mission statement, right? I'm gonna share what it is, and then can we live it? So, our mission statement, what we do every day, is to create opportunities for talent to flourish and San Diego to shine. So create opportunities for talent to flourish. That comes right from Right to Dreams playbook. We're creating all this opportunity for these kids that otherwise wouldn't have it in Africa, in Denmark, in Egypt, and now in America. We're giving them this incredible opportunity to flourish. But we took that and applied it to the whole organization. So what we saw in Mikey Varas and in Tyler Heaps was just freaking talent. You just kind of know it when you see it. And I had been in sporting operations for years in basketball. I actually came through that. I was an assistant GM in the NBA, so I can really know my way around that side of the enterprise. And these guys were both just so talented, they just hadn't done the job yet. So we sort of lived our mission and said, let's create the opportunities for those guys to flourish. And if we do that, San Diego's going to shine.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of armchair quarterbacks, if it hadn't worked out this way, an analyst would have said, well, they bet on the youth, they bet on an unproven head coach, they bet on an unproven GM, etc. So obviously, yeah, I think last time when we were talking, you were telling me about there was some for an expansion team, you had the right to go pick up some players, and you obviously had the first pick in the draft and some other stuff. So you used a lot of those kind of transfer rights to get the young guys in. It wasn't like you're going to go out and bring some more experienced players into the team straight away. Huh?
Yeah, we drafted two kids in the draft who both played, were phenomenal. One became our starting center back, Manu Dua. Ian Pilcher was our starting right back and through the playoffs and made some dramatic plays. So we got great production from the college draft, which is really unusual. You don't see that. Um, then the other chip we had to play with is we had more salary cap space than everybody else. So MLS gives an expansion team roughly 33% more money than everybody else to try to catch up. And so if you have that room to spend, we were able, and we had roster spots. If you think about it, we had opportunity for players
Yep.
because we had to bring on everybody brand new, like
Oh,
everybody.
exactly. Yeah.
So in that fact pattern, we were able to identify through our scouting and recruitment process talent that we saw at other MLS teams who might have had a coaching change and they didn't value that player, or they might have had a different priority. They want to play the veteran guys. You can't win with young guys, right? And so we found those diamonds. And if you get youth that is talented, you give it a chance, it just gets better so that the players improve right before your eyes. I mean, match to match. And it's the freshman's no longer a freshman, they're a sophomore by the end of the freshman season kind of logic. We saw all that happen. And then you've still got years of that happening. And in global football, those contracts are an asset that you can sell on the global market. So you may very well see, and this is a huge part of our model, is that we will be selling the player contracts of our young players into Europe, into better opportunities for those players where we can make literally millions of dollars on the transfer of those players. That's a big part of the investment thesis here, and it's a part of our business model is that we're going to be a club that is a selling club. We will sell player contracts. You don't do trades. In MLS, you can do some trades, but it's mostly transfers where you sell and buy contracts internationally to acquire rights. And that results in a financial transaction club to club. So, for example, we could sell one of these young players for $10 million. We would sell his contract rather for $10 million to a team in France or a team in England who would pay us the $10 million and then negotiate a new contract with the young player for their club. That happens all the time.
Okay, and how are you going to balance that with the fans going, "Oh, this is a farm team. We bring all this talent in, we grow it, and then the guys go and sell it."
Well, first, we've been really explicit that that's part of our plan. So I
Okay,
think that our audience will enjoy seeing a young player move on to a bigger league.
yeah, it'd be cool.
You sort of have interconnectivity with the global soccer scene, the global football market. And then what you see is a lot of times those players come back later. They can come. That's happened a lot where a young MLS talent goes to Europe for a few years, does well, and comes back to the old club. The other thing is it just creates more space for the youth that comes in behind, right? So that commitment to a pipeline of talent and that commitment to youth development is essential. And then remember what I said about right to dream. Our right to dream 11-year-olds become 12-year-olds, become 13-year-olds, and so on. And before you know it, we're going to have a 15-year-old phenom
Yeah,
where everybody's going to be like, that's our guy, that's our homegrown guy. And maybe we have a couple of those. And then we're really cooking.
yeah. So you talk about the mission statement, you talk about the bit about the business model, and you talk about how you hire top talent, which is, as we know as business guys, anytime you're in business, getting great people on the team
Yeah.
it makes a huge difference. Talk a bit about the infrastructure you've got. Snapdragon is the best MLS stadium out there, but Sequan, you built a phenomenal practice facility and training ground, right?
Yeah, we have four places. Yeah, you talk about people, places, and processes, right?
Yeah.
So as far as our places go, um, our headquarters is in Little Italy, our commercial headquarters. So we made a statement by saying we're really big city, big market, downtown, cool building in Little Italy. It's an awesome place. You guys should have a meeting down here. Um, we also invested in a retail store that we call 18 Threads, and it's out in Mission Valley Mall. And I just said we've set a record for the most revenue created by an MLS operated retail store ever in the 30 years because it's a lifestyle brand. It's beyond just being a soccer brand. It's like really cool San Diego Pride type merch. And we were really clever the way we engaged with a lot of local artists and did this distinct small runs, hot stuff, high turnover of people coming through there, and we just crushed it on merch. It's really exciting, and because we feel like Padres represent the city, so do we with our brand and our colors
Yeah,
and all that. So those are the first two smaller places. Then you get to the bigger ones. Snapdragon Stadium, it's a 20 to 30-year lease depending on optionality. So it's a long-term lease, and we're by far the highest user of that property. We played 25 home matches last year, and we'll probably do that or more this year if we advance in some of our competitions. So it's 20 to 30 matches a year here.
yeah.
Um, we drew over 700,000 fans, and we're just getting started there, right? And that building is the beginning of a much larger real estate development that's going to expand over the decade with bars and restaurants and apartment buildings and a commercial district. It's really quite cool. So we're at the middle of all that without having to build it or pay for it. Uh, Although we pay dearly with our lease, they did a good job negotiating that. Um, then you talked
But it
about
is the best stadium in MLS.
it's cool. It's the biggest, um, and when it's alive, it's one of the most festive. It's really a lot of fun. Uh, Then at our training ground, our Sharp Healthcare Performance Center and our Right to Dream Academy out on Saquon's property, it is gorgeous. I mean, if you're driving to the casino, you drop into their valley. When you leave El Cajon, all of a sudden you drop into this valley and it's like you're in a dream. It's so gorgeous. And we took over 9 holes, executive par nine, par three, 9 holes.
Hopefully, it's just a pause. Oh, maybe you can hear us. You've frozen.
First team, they eat at the same time, which is really cool to see the cross collaboration. Then we took over 10 buildings that were the resort hotel, and that's where the residence is for the boys. They live. It's effectively like a residential boarding school. The boys come in, live on campus full time, go to school on campus in some of the other buildings. It's the cutest little school you've ever seen. It's a middle school, so it's grades 6 to 8, and then we'll do high school courses in there for the ones that don't go to a normal high school. And then the boys are going to go on a trajectory where they go either the pro pathway straight into the pros or a college pathway where they'll go to either prep school and or college on scholarship. So, and we make a full commitment to all the boys. And we needed that infrastructure, that place to make that happen because we're recruiting the best of the best.
I think you told me that didn't the MLS give you the rights to recruit either certainly Tijuana, but even further deeper into Mexico? And I don't think anybody else has that.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. So, in international football, you're not allowed to take minors and recruit them across border. So you can't transfer a 12-year-old phenom from Africa up to Manchester United, right? It's just for the good of the children and to avoid real problems. You can't go cross border with kids. The exception FIFA makes is that if your headquarters, your training ground is within 50 kilometers of an international border, you can recruit 50 kilometers over the border. So think of all those European border towns where, of course, right across the river, if somebody lives there, it makes sense. So our academy at Sequan is 48.5 kilometers from the border. We measured it 10 times to make sure.
By design, I'm assuming.
That land was just, when we fell in love with that land, we were like, oh, wait a minute. Let's look. And it was 48.5. It was great. So we can go 50 kilometers into Mexico, not beyond that. But that's all of Tijuana proper, right? All of that is included. So they're 2.7 million people, and all the talent that's there is eligible to come into our academy, which is amazing.
And so, how does that work in Mexico? So, let's say a family's not in that 50 kilometers. If they move to the 50 kilometers, then they become eligible. Is that the deal?
Yeah, if the family relocates into a market, then they really live there, yes, then they're in that market.
Okay. Yeah. So you got phenomenal infrastructure there. So the funding for the Right to Dream, is that part of coming out of the revenue from the football club, or is that Sir Mohammed kind of funding that himself because he's got his own organization doing a lot of that, right?
The San Diego Right to Dream is fully funded by San Diego FC. So that's part of the joint venture. The broader Right to Dream started in Ghana. It's then went up to Denmark, and they own a really impressive team there that transfers all sorts of players for big, big money. And then went to Egypt. When Sir Mohammed bought Right to Dream, he said, I want to bring this to Egypt. All those three are operated by Right to Dream itself, but we collaborate in a very, very meaningful way, very deep way on the venture here in San Diego. So we get the benefit of their 25 plus years of experience, and we just get to do it the San Diego way, the American way.
Okay, great. Now, the holiday or the window between obviously the conference championship final you were in to starting up next week is pretty short. Normally, I think about sports teams at the end of a season. They got some time, they make some changes, etc. So, can you talk a bit about that process? What you've done, what changes we can expect as we go into the next season? I know you got the cup coming up, right? That given you had a pretty short window.
Super short window. The good news is we like most of our roster, so
That's good.
we're not making dramatic changes to the roster. Some come, some go. Some are in, some are out, and we've added a few players. But I went to the first day of training and it looked like our last day of training. It was amazing that first day, just how we hit the ground running, literally, and the ball was flying. Um, so that was such a stark contrast to last year at this time. We still didn't have enough players to even practice. So what happened was we extended deep into the playoffs, all the way to the Western Conference Final. So we only had like a little less than 5 weeks off before we were back in training. And we qualified for the CONCACAF Champions Cup, where the best teams from MLS qualify to play against the best teams from Mexico and the Caribbean and pretty much all of the Americas here, at least Central and North America. So we're going to be playing Pumas, a team from Mexico, on February 3rd, which is Tuesday. So we play next week, um, very early in our training cycle. We're not even up to where everybody can play 90 minutes. So we're going to have to rotate the squad. And that's a compelling, cool competition where we play a home and away aggregate competition against Pumas from Mexico City. And if we beat them, we advance to play Toluca, who's been winning the league in the last couple of sessions down in Mexico. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Okay. So you kept pretty much the player roster the same. Did you make many changes in the coaching ranks?
No, our technical director just got plucked away by the Canadian national team, so he's going to
Okay.
go. He's an important member of our team, but that's the only loss or change at sort of the coach or the technical level. And then from a player standpoint, we see the return of all of our star players, and then it has been in the news that Irving Chucky Lozano, who is one of our players, is not in the plans this year from a sporting standpoint. He's still with the team, he still trains every day, but he won't be in the playing rotation.
Okay. And from a business standpoint, as you think about, obviously the year you had, there's money from obviously the ticket sales, from the premium, the booth, the boxes, etc. Media rights, merchandise. Did that kind of come in roughly on plan in terms of the mix, or was there any surprises in that kind of how it shook out?
Similar mix of what we anticipated. Um, Robust revenues overall, if you look at us compared to other MLS teams, because it's a bigger stadium and we've got a premium oriented building. So we were able to sell a lot of premium inventory on 3, 5, 7, and 10-year contracts. So we have a beautiful thing, contractually obligated income, which everybody in
Nice.
this group knows what that means. De-risks things going forward. We've got multi-year partnerships with our sponsors, so DirecTV, Sharp Healthcare, Adriana's Insurance, California Bank and Trusts, Sequan Resort Casino, all sorts of the big brands and big enterprise level companies. Those are multi-year deals. So really the game for us comes down to the rest of the butts in seats and on a nightly basis filling up a big building. It's a similar challenge that baseball sees, right? So the Padres have done very well over time. Uh, doesn't matter if it's Monday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're going to pretty close to full on almost all nights. And we expect that we're going to build towards that in this marketplace as well. It's a great group sales market. You would just get a ton of, such a cool group outing. It's a great premium hospitality market. So the idea of corporate outings, and we've got the cool offerings right down on the field, on the pitch, where you could bring your corporate event, 20, 30 people and be right on the feet on the grass kind of thing.
Yeah.
Plus the usual suites and loge boxes and club seats and so on. I mean, while I'm talking commercially, if anyone has interest in any of what I'm saying with regard to supporting our club and doing business with us, I think it makes sense to email me directly. Uh, we've got, I wasn't sure the format, but
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
well, Chase Davis is on too, but since there isn't an ability for us to sort of interact, email me directly and I'll forward you to wherever you need to go. So if it's a group or if hospitality buyer, if it's interest to entertain your business in your business the right way. Entertain like you mean business. That's our new thing for the B2B market. Email me. It's tom.penn, Penn, at san diego fc.com. So if anybody has interest, we'd love to work with and collaborate with everybody who's on this webinar. Come on out, join the party. tom.penn at san diego fc.com, and I'll take care of you.
We talk about goal setting and not scoring goals, but business kind of goals. So as most of us CEOs are, we're used to setting an annual goal for the year, etc. So you're running a football club. What kind of goals did you set for the team? For how you want to run the business? What are you going to do this year that is different?
So our big three areas that we want to win. We want to win on the field. We want to win in the community, and we want to win at Snapdragon Stadium. So let me talk about what I mean by that. Win on the field means put on a really pleasing product, play our style, play our way, and plan to get good results. But it's not like we sit here and say we're going to get 65 points this year. We're going to win 20 matches instead of 19. We don't set specific goals as it relates to results. We set more like the way we play and how we approach things. And, playing an X number of minutes for youth is an appropriate goal. Winning X number of games is not a stated goal, but it's obvious we're after results. And related to win on the field is also the development of those kids I talked about, right? And there's specific key metrics on how you take 11 and 12-year-olds and advance them individually and collectively. The idea of winning in the community is second. And we've done such a good job of becoming a community-based club, and there's so much more we can do. We're now a true force for good in the community. And how do we amplify that? And how do we grow on that good in collaboration with companies, frankly, with our partners, with civic organizations? We're a gem for this community that can have a big impact. And then the third part of that was to win at Snapdragon. And what we mean by that is the experience overall, the fan fest, the ease of parking, the food and beverage offerings, the supporters singing and just bringing that place alive, the pyro show that we do, the flow ball ritual where we recognize a hero in the community. All that stuff just makes it such a pleasing experience that people want to be a part of it. There are a lot of goals that come in each of those areas, and then the way we manage it is a system, we call it OKRs, an objective and key results by quarter, where we state a specific objective for the year, quarterly objectives that everybody in the entire organization is aware of, and then key results in each department that track to that key objective for the quarter. And then we measure that, and we do it again each quarter, which, as you know, with quarters, they come around like it's weeks, like, wait, we're here again?
Very quickly. Yeah. Okay. So that sounds like a normal business. I want to switch the conversation to when you and I spoke 2 years ago. I was talking about what's the future like for soccer in the US, and you were very bullish. And a couple of key things you said was Lionel Messi's coming, right? He was just arrived at the time, right? And the World Cup's coming. So talk a bit about, Messi's had a meteoric rise, in Miami, et cetera, and success they've had. And now the World Cup is, months away.
Yeah, I used to refer to that as the double booster. We're riding a rocket ship and we had the Messi booster and then the World Cup booster, and away we go. Yeah, look, Messi won MVP. He fair and square, and Andre Dreyer, our player, had it, or he was right there, but then Messi, threw the hammer down and really did a nice job and carried his team to the title, to the cup. We were so close to playing them. I think if we went and played them, we would have beat them because of the way our styles matched up, but maybe this year. I think Messi is impactful. The global eyeballs on him are unmatched, and MLS gets the shine of that. And he's here to sort of stay. I think he's going to finish his career with Miami and then graduate into their ownership group. So that's really cool and interesting. You mentioned the World Cup. It is here, it is upon us. So for years, we've been saying that has to help, that has to make a difference, that has to be a big deal. We still feel that, we just don't know how. So what we do know is that MLS is going to commit to a really cool campaign. That's going to be a real big part of the World Cup presence. Is that I'm not going to share what it is, but it's really neat. I've seen the preview. The it's part of a it's an idea of just reminding the American market that MLS will is here and is going to be happening, right at the end. And we're going to re-kick off our season. We take a long break during the World Cup this summer, and MLS re-kicks off right around the semifinal final, right in the middle of all of it. So it's like a handoff to us. What we're doing in the market is we're taking over Belmont Park and doing a beach party for all the World Cup that we're
Oh,
hosting.
that'd be fun. Okay.
And we're doing it at the old beach house, which is now Fit Social. And it's this cool venue that can scale up or down, and then we can spill out onto the beach for big watch parties. So we're going to always be on at Mission Beach. We have a partnership with Fox 5 here in San Diego. They're going to broadcast live every day. They're going to do hit, all that sort of thing. So that should really bring our brand into the zeitgeist of all things global football when the whole country is really focused on it and when our market is focused on it. Then it's up to us to take it from there and to try to get more of the casual American fan, the curious fan, the hometown hero from San Diego, get them really hyped about SDFC and get them to want to come try us once. Just come to one match at Snapdragon, and I guarantee you'll come back because it's a blast.
Hmm. Do we have anybody on the roster that's going to make any of the teams that are going to be playing in the World Cup?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Annabelle Godoy, who's he's been the captain of the Panamanian team forever. He's the most capped player
Okay.
in Panama history, and they're in. Anders Dreyer is likely going to be in. He's got one more match, but he plays for Denmark. Uh, there are some others as well. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Okay. All right. I know I've got a couple of questions from the audience. If there's anybody else, jump in. So, one of the questions: what is unique about professional soccer and the importance of youth academies versus the other professional men's sports leagues, which source talent primarily from college sports?
Well, that you answered your own question there. They primarily the other leagues acquire their talent through the college system and through a draft. So most of the talent comes from America, comes up through the college system, or in baseball, they'll take you right out of high school. They do some of that in the NBA. The talent ripens up and matures on the collegiate system's account, and then you get ripe and ready players ready to come in. In global football, the way it's developed and evolved is that the entire youth development system starts earlier. So instead of AAU basketball here, each professional club globally just finds the best talent in their neighborhood and invests in them and has to be a part of their club. And then when they're good enough, they'll sign them as teenagers to their own team. Because I remember I said you can't transfer a player till they're 18 internationally. So the advantage you have is you can contract with your best young players as a teenager before 18 so that they never hit the free market. So you're incentivized if you can home grow your own talent, you have a pipeline of players that are ready to play your style in your community at a younger age with a lower cost basis because you didn't have to go pay $10 million to acquire that player. You've developed them as part of the system. And if they're really good, you can sell that contract for 10 million after they've played for you for a little bit. So that's the incentive you have. And that's where Right to Dream is essential because they have the software to make that all happen. We have the hardware, the place out at Saquon, and Saquon has this methodology, the software to build these little studs into grown men.
That's cool. Great. All right, next question. With SDFCs now gaining domestic and international exposure, how do licensing and brand extension factor into your growth strategy? Specifically, how are you leveraging these tools to expand the brand globally while maintaining relevance in core markets? Wait, you're 1 year in, so that's
It's interesting. We're 1 year in, but we're globally relevant. Recently, there have been a couple of times where players, big global stars, the last one was Mo Salah, the Egyptian star, get highly rumored to be coming to us.
yeah,
And that kind of thing, you can't buy that type of publicity, but we've had a couple of global stars where the presumptive rumors where they're coming to San Diego,
yeah,
which is interesting, which means we're Mo Salah worthy, in the media's eyes.
yeah.
Um, Right to Dream has a large global brand already. They were just named the best academy in the world by the Globe Soccer Awards, the Global Academy of the World. It was amazing. I went over to
There's
Dubai.
a lot of academies out there. That's impressive.
Yeah, so that's the peer group reputationally. I was out there. Sir Mohammed Mansour received the award. Cristiano Ronaldo gave it to him. It was really cool.
Pretty
Um,
cool.
and then the other part of brand extension, internationally, you can sort of do what you do, but what you see is Miami taking advantage of Messi right now, and they're on tour globally. So you can go take, if you have a global star, you can go play friendly matches and kind of own that tour and grow your brand as you do that. It's too soon for us to do those kinds of things, but that's possible. Um, and then the ability to grow into Mexico is interesting too for us because we're Mexico adjacent. It's a big part of our culture here, and we have the chance to really represent Mexico in a way as well going forward.
And we got one more. It's more of a statement, but someone's a huge SDFC fan. My parents are season ticket holders, and I attend every home game. My brother's having his first kid, and the first present the baby got was some SDFC merchandise. Thanks for speaking today. So back to your point about having an impact on the community. Yeah, you guys are doing great. It's been fabulous to see, a major league team come here and start so well. Obviously, you and the talent you've brought in from the management, the coaches, and etc. And then taking the gamble basically on that youth, right? And living your mission has been terrific. So Tom, I want to thank you for coming back and attending another one of these. And yeah, I think as a club we'd love to come out and maybe have a meeting out at the Sequan facilities and see that. That would be awesome. But I know you're excited to get going again. I think you said Tuesday's the game, so good luck this season, and hopefully it's going to be another kind of record-breaking season, and hopefully World Cup is again, it's always a global spectacle, but hopefully it really helps accelerate the fan base here in the United States. So thank you for taking the time
Yeah.
today, and we certainly appreciate it.
Thank you. And what a great way to finish that idea of a baby being born into our club. That's the idea for the future. This thing's here for generations to just make life better in San Diego.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Great. Well, thank you all for attending today. We appreciate that, and have a good rest of the day. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, guys.